welcome back one and all. My name is Eltimar, and we are going to be continuing our Let's Play of Tyranny. Where we left off last time, we were exploring the town trying to figure out where to go. We have to talk to Eldian, I found out. May the silence of peace and the jangling of rings both follow you in all things. We have some questions about this town. What can you tell me about the Spire and Lethian's Crossing? Eldian shakes his head. Sometimes I wonder why Lethian thought it was a good idea to settle here. We already had a Bane problem before the Forge Bound set up here. Now that they're using the crossing as one of their main forges, the Bane issue is even worse. Since the Bane are drawn to magical energy, we have to be on constant alert for them escaping. That's it? There are Bane in the old walls? We ask you about some of the most powerful magic in the tiers and you tell us a tidbit of information we already know? I'm sorry, miss. I wasn't aware it was that important. I've been inside there all of one time in my life and I don't plan on ever going back again. So if you want more information, you'll need to ask somebody else. As my uncle used to say, don't ask the dog what the pig has been up to. I can tell you what I know, nothing more. How'd you seal the door? I have a keystone that can be used to open or seal the door. One of Kairos' soldiers found it while they were looking for a way to seal the doors, to keep the Bane from escaping. The sealed door is only a temporary measure, though. It holds the Bane back for now, but it won't last for much longer. I fear what will happen to Lethian's Crossing if the Bane escape. Well... What are your thoughts on the Bronze Brotherhood? They were here since the crossing was founded. Lethian herself hired them to protect the settlement when it was just getting started. A fledgling town in the shadow of the old walls. They did such a good job, she kept them on as our peacekeepers, and that's how things went. At least until you decided to oust them and put someone else in their place. Can't say I wouldn't have done the same, truth be told. Taking pay from two employers is always going to end badly if you can't make both of them happy. On top of that, it seems that lately that Rhea Toman is traveling a path no one can see, and I don't want to see what's at the end of it. I want to know more about the Spire. How'd you seal the door? Let me get through the door. How do I get through the door? I'm just gonna go through... No, get out of this. I'm gonna need some directions around here. Let's try that one. I completely understand. The crossing can be a bit intimidating at first, the first time somebody arrives, but it's not as complicated as it looks. The river is named Portuscor, and it flows down the middle of the settlement. The waterfalls pouring over the old walls are Sunrise and Moonrise. The west waterfall is Sunrise because of how the sun hits it in the morning, and the Moonrise got its name due to how it glows during a full moon. The crossing itself is broken up into districts named after the waterfalls. The west side of the river is Sunrise District, and the east side is Moonrise District. The different levels of Lethian's Crossing don't really have names, but most people refer to them as the tiers. My home is considered part of the ground tier, the forge on the first tier, both in the Moonrise District. Okay. I have other questions. None. Let's go see if we can open that door now. It said that the door is going to fail shortly, so hopefully that will be when we get there. And then we can go punch some Bane. We haven't actually to fight the Bane yet. I've heard a little bit about them, but I have no idea what they're capable of. I'm actually kind of curious to see how this goes. But we did get a journal updated thing as well. Hopefully we can find our third coal sketching thing so that we can open that Spire's sigil, which would be kind of nice. So our journal says that we have to go inside, I guess. But also, we're supposed to investigate these scratchings. So it looks like that so far. Maybe we can ask him now. We should have already actually checked that before leaving that place. Maybe he'll give us the runestone at this point. Hopefully, because I really want to get inside that tower today. That's my goal. Let's see if we can make him talk now. Blah, blah, blah. Lethians. Lethians. How'd you seal the door? Still doesn't know anything. Crossings. Oops. Shoot. There we go. Let's go rob him, at least. We came in here. He didn't have anything for us, so at least rob him, take his stuff. Yeah, we have to find out what to do now. I know we need to go inside the old walls to get the last piece of the charcoal thing, because I looked around town for a long time. And then I checked the Googles, because that's what it told me to do, is go talk to him. But unfortunately, he doesn't give us the key, so maybe we have to go back there now that we know that he's the one that sealed it, and that's going to break soon. Alright, well, let's try to go up top. Again, it's a little bit of a run over there anyways, so... Such a long walk.
Won't happen.
Alright, let's quick save. And then we'll head in. Let's see what happens in here. Maybe the Bane will be out and about now. Oh, I see some... I see nothing has changed in here. Okay. This is not the ideal. I don't know what to do. What I might do is take a quick break, look around town some more, and then get back to you with the answer on this one. I'll be back in 2 seconds, guys. Okay, guys, I am back. I asked a couple people on Reddit that I regularly talk to, and they said that I should go talk to Tunan first because otherwise you can't really advance the game. You can unlock part of the tower, the spire, but you should really go talk to Tunan first before anything else because he'll send you on your mission. That's what we did wrong. That was my bad. But live and learn, right? So, this is where we are now. Going to the court. I'm sure it's going to be exhilarating. This is going to be... We might, we might be in a little bit of trouble. Let's go see what our boss is going to say about us. That's a lot of fate binders. And there's our leader, Tunan up top.
You call yourselves officers of Kairos' army, but your conduct falls short of my expectations. The court finds your accounts of Vendrian's well lacking, rife with misdirection and fallacy, fouled with baseless accusation.
The shadows beneath Tunan's cloak darken and flare around him. Murmurs of unease erupt in the court. What is going on here?
Fatebinder, you arrive just in time. The representatives of the Vendrian's well siege have finished their testimony, and I cross-examine.
It is about time you showed up for your reckoning, filth. This city will see you hanged for your crimes against the Scarlet Chorus. Do I even know you? Oh, you will soon enough. If the Archon lets me pull your noose taut myself, then soon enough we'll be fast friends. The Chorus Lieutenant sticks out his tongue and flicks it to the left and right.
Bloodmulch here wishes to put you to task for killing his master, the Fifth Eye. You recall this from Vendrian's well, of course.
I am ready to speak in my defense.
The charge is murder of a subject protected under Kairos' law. The punishment is death. I hope you can answer for yourself, Fatebinder. Let us begin. Offer your testimony. We would hear your account of what led to the officer's demise. Lieutenant, I ask that you show some propriety in my hall.
He was going to kill me. I had no choice.
Is that so? I haven't heard any similar testimony to suggest it. I am willing to concede that the chaos of the war was a contributing factor to the moral confusion you showed on the battlefield. The Fifth Eye was one of the voices of Narat's more troubling servants, to be sure. His wartime atrocities go beyond any rational number. And yet he conducted himself within the letter of the law. which is more than I can say for some.
The Civil War had just started. It was awful.
I can well imagine. The court has tried enough former and present soldiers to grasp the influence of mayhem. Disorder in the field can sway even the most rigid sense of morality. Yet the court still places trust in its servants. Trust which is now challenged.
The Fifth Eye was a madman. I did the army a service by putting him down. Don't you speak of him that way. He was a brilliant, misunderstood genius.
Madman or no, he was under the protection of Kairos' law when you dispatched him. But your position may prove relevant if the Fifth Eye meant you harm. The voices of Nerat's servants are notoriously unbalanced.
I am finished with my testimony.
So be it. After weighing the matter, the court finds you innocent of the charges. Normally, I would not accept wartime as a viable defense for your actions. However, the court is willing to look beyond the matter. Vendrian's well had fallen to civil war and chaos in the scramble to resolve Kairos' edict. Loyalties were questioned all around.
This isn't justice. What a farce. The Scarlet Chorus will find you, Fatebinder. We will end you. Bloodmulch takes a dagger and slices his palm, letting the blood drip down his arm.
Enough. I've let you speak enough on this subject. Lieutenants, there is a civil war afoot, and I require an explanation.
Tanan taps the bottom of his staff on the ground, and the echo begins to build into an almost deafening ring. Your Honor, I have relayed the events as I experienced them. You can well imagine why my version conflicts with his. She makes a dismissive gesture at the Scarlet Chorus representative. On my honor, and on that of the great general, I would sooner snap my sword than perjure myself before you, Archon. Oh, so you imply that falsehood comes easier to my lips than yours? You're a fool if you believe the Archon of Justice won't see through your lies because the disfavored think themselves better than an honest gang.
Silence. The contradictions in your statements will be examined, and falsities threshed from truths. If we find you have perjured yourselves, Bled and Mark will see to your fate.
Bled and Mark is the Kairos' knife in the shadows, the unseen drop of poison that enforces the Overlord's will. He reports to Tunon the Adjudicator, serving in his capacity as the final word to those who hold Kairos' law in contempt. Okay.
Fatebinder, we will start with the matter of the Archons. Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat have declared war upon each other. In addition to violating Kairos' peace, they have thrown the conquest of the Tears into disarray. By all accounts, these hostilities began shortly after your arrival. Tell us what transpired.
The Archons could not agree on who should lead the siege and descended into accusations of treachery. It seemed a mutual spat. The disfavored were more deserving of the honor. Our tactics and training outmatched the Vendrian Guard at every turn. What balderdash! The disfavored couldn't tip over a straw hut if they had a week to strategize. Our howling mob was better equipped to overwhelm the Vendrian Guard. Our recruits were ready to throw themselves at the enemy, if only Ash and his legion would agree to a plan.
The Fatebinder presents testimony. I warn you both against speaking out of turn. Something more than a mere disagreement unraveled this campaign. But I will return to that in time.
It was me, but I'm not going to say that.
Let us speak of Ascension Hall. We have heard troubling accounts of your actions, including claims that you worked with the Oathbreakers known as the Vendrian Guard.
I took the Citadel for Kairos.
As you say. And yet that was not evident from your actions. All accounts claim that you sided with the Oathbreakers. This would be the very definition of working against the Overlord's wishes. Enlighten the court. How is this not treason?
This is a tough question. See, this is where things could go really bad for us. My first instinct is to say that I did not take sides, I took control, but I feel that that would be the wrong choice, and I also say that getting the Oathbreakers on my side was simply a means of mitigating the losses to Kairos' forces. That is pretty good. I could probably do that. The Archons warred with each other. All would have perished if I did not take matters into my own hands. Still sounds kind of treasonous. Let's go with number 3. For a long while, the adjudicator hovers in silence, shadows trailing from below his robes.
I will consider this testimony at length. The court thanks you for it. Is there anything you wish to add at this time?
I've told you all that I know.
Your testimony is accepted by the court. The statements of our guests raise questions in my mind. There is much about this campaign that has caused me to wonder. A shipment of iron weapons was short on arrival. Where coveted iron is concerned, I don't believe it to be a clerical error. One of my agents recovered this seal in Echo Call. It belongs to a merchant collective. Lethian's Crossing is teeming with their kind. If you would root out treachery, I would advise starting there.
This is where we were supposed to go to Lethian's Crossing now.
Petitioners, leave us. I would have a private audience with the Fatebinder. Ascend and join me. You will find the way opened.
I can't imagine this is going to go very well for us, but... oh dear, we're going to meet the boss. Not an open court though, but a private matter. I'm going to leave my army here. My men. I'm going to go alone. He said specifically, join me alone. You guys just go chill there and just stand on the podium, or the overlook, and just chill.
This civil war, this feud, is an insult to Kairos' peace. It should not have taken the better part of a year to silence the last vestiges of the Oathbreakers.
Tunon regards you in thoughtful silence. I agree, Your Honor.
Our allies squabble while our enemies regroup. It falls upon the court to measure the extent of the damage, and to execute the agents of disorder. I suspect that treachery, negligence, disunity, and greed have infected one or both of our esteemed allies. Until you are instructed otherwise, this matter is the court's primary focus. Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat must be examined in close detail. You are charged with observing the Archons and presenting your case that one of them has wrought chaos and disorder upon the Tiers.
Could they both be guilty?
It's possible, but the momentum of the conquest up to this point suggests otherwise. The failure at Vendrian's Well implies a coordinated will behind the chaos.
It's me.
As
I am the will.
always, you will be held accountable for what you do in the court's name. But you are free to conduct your investigation in the manner of your choosing. You must expect lies, misdirection, and manipulation. Suffer not such obstructions of justice. At first, we were not amused by your alliance with the Tiersmen. But there is a logic, a pragmatism to the situation that we are willing to entertain. You deputized our enemies to bring order out of chaos.
Sweet, I'm glad that they saw my way on that one.
So long as you keep them on a tight leash, we will permit this union to continue under your auspices. The opportunity to bring peace through collaboration rather than warfare is one we shouldn't ignore. But if these Oathbreakers trust you, then take advantage of the connection. If indeed Graven Ash or the voices of Nerat conspire with our enemies, this would explain much of the events in Vendrian's Well and the feud ignited therein.
I will speak with them and learn what they know.
Be careful that you don't invite them too closely into your confidence. I would not empower the rabble by sending a servant of the court to do their bidding. Ensure that your objectives come first in all things. You see the nobles milling about this court. You hear the anxiety and uncertainty of a conquered people. Day and night I audience declarations of fealty to curry favor. What you don't see are the dungeons beneath the court, and the hundreds of Tiersmen who strained against Kairos' rule. I warrant that your Oathbreaker allies know a few of them, whether by blood or by allegiance. Let it be known that their lives are forfeit to the court's mercy, and any action meant to shatter what order we have established will be met with the swiftest reprisal. Blood will flow through these halls. Is that clear?
Abundantly clear, Your Honor.
I'm glad we understand each other. Be sure your new friends understand as well. Do not toy with the locals. Subjugate them if they will serve. Destroy them if they have exhausted their usefulness. I will not permit them to vanish into the tears, there to gather strength with renewed defiance for the Overlord. Your fellow Fatebinders have been busy acting as my eyes and ears. I have a few leads for you to follow. You should, of course, speak with your brothers and sisters of the court if you need further counsel. Though the disfavored were triumphant in the Blade Grave, I understand that their troubles within the region are unfinished. Talk to the disfavored commanders serving in the Blade Grave. Perhaps they can shine some light on the origins of this feud. The Oathbreakers were reported to be using iron armaments, more than they might acquire from looting what few disfavored they killed. Any iron in the tiers not rusted through was made by forge-bound hands in Lethian's Crossing. Between craftsman and quartermaster, someone let iron fall into enemy hands. Investigate this matter and bring the thieves to justice.
Yes, sir.
There is a final matter to discuss. A sensitive topic.
Though it's impossible to gauge from his expression, Tunon seems more wary than usual. What concerns the court, Your Honor?
In spite of the many shortcomings at Vendrian's Well, you managed to make a name for yourself. You proclaimed an Edict of Kairos, resolved its demanding conditions, and ascended the mountain spire. Any one of these feats would be worthy of recognition by the highest authority. You managed to accomplish 3.
Tunon hovers in observance, awaiting a response. I was only doing my job, Your Honor.
Your sense of obligation to your role is admirable, but modesty will not recommend you to the task ahead. Whether by design or by accident, you have captured the attention of Kairos' army and the local tiersmen alike. This is no small opportunity, and the court charges you with exploiting your new standing to its fullest potential. You have a title in our hierarchy. However, it's a little-known secret that one's standing in the world is determined by their infamy, their deeds, and how they come to be known. Mind this notion as you bring justice to this lawless frontier. There may come a time when your deeds speak for you louder than any title.
Yes, sir.
Whatever you did to capture the attention of the masses at Vendrian's Well, I would encourage you to do so again.
Great deeds will define me.
You begin to understand. Whether your acts are favorable or heinous, it falls to you to bring greatness to this campaign. You are dismissed.
Jesus.
Should the court have need of your presence, you will receive word. Go forth and do my bidding, and bring glory and honor to the tiers in Kairos' name.
Tunon raps his gavel against the floor, the singular note resounding through the hall. You just left. Where did you go? Oh, he's back to his... They weren't eavesdropping, you know. They were just relaxing. So we have to find evidence against Graven Ash and the voices of Narot. We also have to not get in any more huge trouble. He seemed to be pretty go. Something's happening. Bled and Mark. Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict drop, I guess I'm glad you lived. Bleed and Mark. The Archon of Shadows rouses from a faraway stare, turning to face you with a wry smile. Though he stands still, he seems to sift in and out of the shadows that surround him. But to draw blood from your allies? The Archon flashes his teeth white and flat and pearly white, a sharp contrast to the shadowed depth of his face. He folds his arm across his chest, hands resting against the bandolier of blades that span his waist. The wording of the edict was clear. They were committing fatal negligence against each other by not cooperating. I didn't write Kairos' rule, I just enforced it. True enough, the disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus brought about their own demise. Those that lived should be thanking you for your mercy. What has me curious is your use of the Tiersmen, the Oathbreakers of all people. You're content to cut down your allies yet spare your enemy. Some would consider it an unusual choice. You're mistaken to call them enemies. The Oathbreakers follow me now. View them more as extensions of the court. That's the cute thing about you Fatebinders. Tunon teaches you enough about the law for you to bugger it in the backside, all the while thinking you're so clever. Before you go and conspire with the locals too much, you and I need to have a chat. I'm listening. Everybody is keeping an eye on you because you did something nobody has done before. Got a guess as to what that might be? I'm the first Fateminder to awaken a spire of the old walls? You're not wrong, that was definitely a shock, but I doubt it's the sole reason you made the tears tremble. Proclaiming an edict isn't new, neither is surviving or resolving one of the commandments of an edict, but you're the first person to proclaim and resolve the very same edict, and it didn't kill you. In one fell swoop, you survived your second edict, resolved the very one you had proclaimed, and woke an arcane structure that had slept for centuries. And now I go on your short list of people who stand out as potential problems? More or less. Mostly more. He offers you a dangerous grin. I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger you're in now that you've put yourself on the map. If you want to drum up more support from the Tearsmen, being the binder that broke the Overlord's edict is a good opener for diplomacy. Not saying trusting them is the best course of action, but it's a better strategy than watching Ash and the voices muck around without consequence. Thank you for the advice. The Archon of Shadows shrugs to you in farewell, but his golden eyes are alight with interest as he watches you.
No reason to tell.
So, an assassin told us we are a little bit on the map. He's like, hey, just FYI, we're going to be watching you, and if you screw up, the Archon of Shadows is going to take you out of the game. And that is a bad thing because he is basically the perfect assassin from what I've gathered in my brief 2 minutes of talking to him. And I don't particularly want him to kill me. We're going to go talk to one more person in this video, and then we'll probably call it. It is, after all, Stellaris Night, and I will be having to go for that pretty quick here, giving enough time for the video to encode and everything. Let's go talk to Tarkus Ari first. Fatebinder, welcome back. Ari smiles and bows. Our patrols have been chasing off stragglers from the valley, but otherwise Vendrian's well. It's almost quiet for the first time in ages. Considering what we've been through, it's a much-needed lull in violence. Fatebinder, Barrick takes you aside and speaks low. Must we suffer these fools and play their game of disobedience much longer? Whisper, I'm using these southerners to serve our interests alone. Won't you play along for a time? Perhaps you are more shrewd than I credited. When this war is over, I'll make sure to tell the great general how you won your greatest battle through cooperation. The Archon may even learn a thing or two. He nods with respect. I hope you two are finished with your palaver on the side. Palaver? Ari clears her throat. We need to use this time to shore up our strength. If either of the Archons decided to attack us in earnest, we wouldn't last long. Now's the time to scrounge up whatever resources we can muster. You don't need resources, you need allies. She blinks. With the other regions of the Tiers beset by Kairos' forces, we've all been spread too thin to help one another. We've long hoped to inspire others to rally to our cause, but after a while, I just assumed that nobody was coming. We tried to assemble a unified front at the gates of judgment, but our enemies were too strong, as you well remember. Her expression twists with bitterness, though she attempts to hide it. The disfavored have us outclassed and the Scarlet Chorus outnumbered by tens of thousands. Yet we'll have no lasting peace while they infest the Tiers. What do you propose? Gather the strength of the fallen regions and use it to destroy the Archons and their armies. How does that serve what Kairos is trying to accomplish here? I'm uniting these disparate forces under one banner, as Kairos intended. A stranger interpretation of our directive than any I've heard before, but if these fools will rally behind nothing except a shared enemy, then I trust in your instincts. Yeah, Barrick, stay on point here, come on. I like your ambition, but what you're proposing sounds more than a little beyond our scope. I'd be happy if we achieved a position of strength on our home soil. She frowns in thought. Though if we did manage to take back the Tiers, it would send a message to anybody listening in the north. A coalition, then. Her face warms up with a smile as the idea takes root. It's madness, but it has potential. We won't know if we never try, right? You've already proven yourself better at organizing us than queens and regents who couldn't defend the Tiers at our full strength. But where to start? I can lead the Vendrian Guard from here, but we're in no position to branch out into the rest of the Tiers just yet. I'm here for my own reasons, but I'll get the leaders to assemble and sort out their differences. Whatever your motivations, you backed us at the siege, and we'll never forget that. If you'll have us, then it would give me pride to call the Vendrian Guard the first member of your coalition. Were I in your position, I would consider Lethian's Crossing, which we were already at. The settlement wasn't more than a commerce hub before the war, but it's grown quite a bit since the coming of Kairos. During the conquest, Tunon exploited the waterways to transport iron from the forges to the front lines of the war. Ever since then, refugee traffic and opportunities for trade have made the crossing more than it ever was or deserved to be. The settlers are caught between a constant battle with Kairos' occupying forces and the Bronze Brotherhood, a mercenary band who laid claim to the city during the conquest and wished to take it back. The Forge-bound are the real treasure of the crossing. I'm loath to trust mages, but their iron weapons are second to none, and the reason why the Overlord's armies are so well provisioned. We could get the Forge-bound to cooperate. That might be a challenge, as they're under the auspices of the court, though technically so are you. She smiles. It sounds like anything is possible. I only point out the crossing because, like Venturian's well, it seems poised for someone to intercede and end the conflict. We could restock our weapons and provisions, and maybe even garner some support from the locals. More importantly, it would seem that Zdenna, the Forge-bound master, has been dispatched to the crossing under secret order. I know you both serve the same Archon, but I can't imagine that makes you any more the acquaintance than anybody else. But perhaps by your example, she may see alternatives to Kairos' rule. If she turns, her guild will follow. I've encountered the Bronze Brotherhood already. They set up a toll on Ironhall Trail. That hardly surprises me. They're out to make rings and profit from the war, not fight for anybody's freedom. I sincerely doubt you'll find help there. Alright, let's go to Lethian's Crossing. If you brought order to the crossing, it would go a long ways towards legitimizing your alliance and your intentions. You might not find everybody as quick to trust a Fatebinder in this part of the world. Until then, feel free to consider Ascension Hall your home base. If you gather forces to join the coalition, have them sent here, where we can discuss the plans for the future. As far as the Forge-bound go, use your best judgment. If you find it easier to shout Aspire down than steer a mage's loyalty, you'd find it easier to shout Aspire down than steer a mage's loyalty. I doubt they'll help the likes of us if they can avoid it. The guilds have always been pretty comfortable under Kairos' rule.
I'd have it no other way.
So Beric is a little bit more loyal again, which is good because he was a little bit angry that we were kind of betraying Kairos. It was an accident. I didn't really mean to start with, but it's kind of worked its way that way. It is what it is now. We do have a ring to deal with back in Lethian's Crossing. I know we're only at about 31 minutes, so this is actually going to be just a tiny bit shorter than normal. But I do have to get things ready to go tonight, so in the next video we will be going back to Lethian's Crossing. Oh, that hurt my chest. I had a weird hiccup. I know it's hiccup, but it was a hiccup. I don't really know how to combine those two words. But anyways, that's going to be the end of our video. Like always, if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.